John asked me to talk about the project that we started in 2010. It's now the Happiness Alliance at Happy Counts, and I thought, like, what am I going to say to these people? Because these are the visionaries. You are the visionaries. You are the ones who are doing the work. I thought what I would love to do, what do I really want? It's like, I'd love to do is to get from you, what is it going to take for us to achieve our vision. So I just came out of our board's annual strategic meeting this weekend, and this is our vision statement. So I'm going to be asking you see little pieces of paper, and there's some little pencils that are really grateful to the woman passing them out, asking you what is it going to take, and I'll show you the work that we're doing, some of the ideas that we have, and then if you could fill those out, I'll put some more in the coffee room and give those to me, because while this organization, the Happiness Alliance at happycounts.org, is very small, it's volunteer driven, we are seeing that we are having a really big impact. And I'm going to show you what the data looks like in a moment, and I won't talk about the over 200 different communities that have used our index. But now that these communities are using their index, they're asking now what? We know this since 2011 when we started actually indexing. We're asking now what? I'll show you some of the what we're going to call paths to happiness that we're going to put on our website as part of the tools and resources. But we also need how what? And that's what I'm asking you to put down on those papers. So before we start, I thought it would be really nice to walk the walk. Or walk the talk. And let's just take 3 breaths as long as we can. Make those 3 breaths as long as we can to take back our time right now. And as I'm sure many of you know, this is just a tool. It's a reminder to use that tool. At any moment, we have a breath to come back to and to come right back into our time and making that time our own. And our breath for as long as we are alive, from the moment we are birthed to the day that we die, is ours. All right. So I want to put the work that I've been doing and John has been doing and many other communities have been doing in context. When I say the words just do, what's the next word that comes to your mind? It, right? What if I said just do nothing? And you knew that what that represented was as big as Nike. You'd be really curious, right? It would be like, whoa, a change in way of thinking. And that's what Thomas Jefferson did when he wrote that we all have an inalienable right to life, liberty, and pursuit of property. Because the term of art, pursuit of happiness, because the term of art was property, right? And so when I made that even, my dyslexia coming up in this talk, when I made that mistake, it changed your mind. And so that idea of pursuit of happiness and that is the purpose of government was revolutionary, and yet we got lost. But in a while back, about 45 years ago, that dream was picked up, and now it's being picked up by communities and as well as globally. And you can learn more about that on our website. But it's being picked up, and I'm going to show you how it's being used and why. And the reason for this was for you to understand just how revolutionary this work is, and how important it is to coming back to what the purpose of the American experience is. So I mentioned that we have an index, the Gross National Happiness Index, the Happiness Index. We've been providing this online. It's free. Anybody can use it. How many people here have taken the Happiness Index? All right, awesome. And how many people have used it for groups? Awesome. So now it's super easy. You can create your profile. You can, with a click, create your group, and then you can add questions and you can do your data dive. So this is the data since we started with our current version of the survey, which as I mentioned, you can go online and you can use this. You can take this. This is the data, and the point is, because John asked me to look at specifically at time, the point is, we are consistently scoring low in time balance, which is like not a big surprise to us, right? But we're scoring low across geographies, we're scoring low across demographics, and across different groups that are using this. I want to show you a little bit of some of the specific questions that were asked, which will probably, you're probably asking, how are we measuring happiness? So in terms of time I spend doing things I enjoy, this is one of the questions in the survey, we're scoring low. And then I mentioned that we'll be providing pathways to happiness, which will be the interventions that a community could implement as a way to bring about a world where all beings can thrive. So these suggestions come from my board. They come from those wonderful people who took the Happiness Initiative leadership training on Thursday, and then also from the people who I had the privilege of talking with, Sylvia Hayes and Robert Levine, and the people who came to that session. So these are some of the interventions. And we know that with guaranteed basic income that people will do what they love doing. In work-life balance, we talked about flex time as well as family time in terms of, let me just go forward here, having plenty of time. We talked about access to family time, and something that came up in the conversation that really startled me about family leave time was the need to change gender attitudes in men. And there was a little story that a woman told about how in Denmark, men weren't taking the family leave time because they were called velvet men if they took the family leave time, and so they changed it. They changed the policy to use it or lose it. But what that really says, I think, is that this really probably is one of the crux pieces is what is men's attitude around gender, and what does it mean to be a caregiver. So that's another intervention around feeling rushed. We asked a question on the survey, do you feel rushed? And one of the interventions that my board suggested would be priority counseling. That's what we're calling it at this point. So what that would be essentially sort of a healthcare reform where people would have access to therapists and the other healthcare providers they would need to fully grieve their grief, so they could get to a point where they fully valued themselves. They loved themselves enough that came naturally to give oneself the time to live one's life. So these are some of the interventions. I talked about the work piece. And in terms of having plenty of spare time, yesterday somebody said that, he said, you wouldn't believe it, but joining a chorus has really changed my life. And I do believe it. I am an avid member of my dance community. I love dancing, and I know that when I'm stressed and don't have enough time, that's the time to go dancing. Any of you members of singing or dance? Yeah, beautiful. So, yeah. All right, taking life at a leisurely pace is another question that we ask. And now I'm going to go to, I'm going to skip these two and go to the ask. So remember on Thursday, the governor said, have the courage to ask the difficult the questions, right? Have the courage to really look at the difficult things. And so what I'm asking you is to essentially have a beginner's mind to answer the question of what is it going to take. So we know what a beginner's mind is, right? There's a Suzuki quote that says, I have it here, that the experts, they see very few possibilities where the beginner sees lots and lots of possibilities. And my question to you is, what is it going to take for us to have that shift where we go from this world to a world where all beings can thrive? I asked that question of one of the people here who had given a talk about culture shift, and that person said essentially it's a generation. And I don't believe that. I don't believe that it's going to basically take us to die out for us to get to a place where we do have a world where we have time balance and where all people can thrive. I believe that because of you and very much because of you, we will have that shift. And absent that, if we just leave it be and just leave it to the next generation, we'll have the same but different problem. And you are the people who see things in a very different way. And so, as I mentioned, this project is small, but we are having a big impact. And your feedback on what is it going to take will matter. It will go up as part of our tools and resources at happycounts.org, and it will be used by people and by communities. And so I'll close with, please write down your ideas and give them to me on that little piece of paper, or give them to John, and I'll compile them and we'll create them into resources. And please use our project if you can at happycounts.org. You can use the survey. If you have students, we have data. We provide that data to students and researchers. And we're very interested in partnering with you in lots and lots of different ways. So last, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be able to speak to you. The people who come are the right people, and you really feel blessed. So thank you.